My ex-boyfriend had a 4-year-old, Val, now 24, when we met. We stayed together for 10 years. We had an amicable breakup, and my ex never stopped Val from reaching out to me. We did talk very less when she went to college. We became extremely close when she became pregnant, because she had no maternal influence in her family at all. I'm now married to my husband, and he has a 15-year-old daughter, Sal, whom I also love dearly. She gave birth to a beautiful baby boy in the beginning of December. Her husband got into an accident on the 20th of December, and she called me hysterically. She lives 4 hours away, but I drove there to support. He was injured, but nothing deadly. I stayed there for a couple of days to help, and I could tell that she was very overwhelmed. So I called my husband and told them that I would be staying there for some more days, and that I would miss Christmas. He was extremely mad at me, and told me that my stepdaughter would be really hurt and that I really need to come back by Christmas Eve. I firmly said no, and that I would talk to Sal. Both of them did not pick up the phone after that. In fact, they didn't even wish or call me on Christmas. I finally got back home yesterday, and I was very disappointed in both of them. I sat them down and told them that they were behaving immaturely. I didn't want to leave them alone for Christmas, but it was an emergency. Both of them went on the offensive and yelled at me. They accused me of not loving family, and that she wasn't blood, and I should have celebrated Christmas with them. I asked my husband if he would celebrate Christmas if it was his sister or brother-in-law in this position. When he again said that she wasn't family, blood, I reminded him that Sal isn't my biological daughter either, and questioned him whether that means I shouldn't care about her. Sal burst into tears and left the room. I spoke to Sal and told her that sometimes stuff happens and we cannot always control it. She told me that Dad said I didn't love Sal and that I'm choosing Val over her. She didn't even know about the accident until I came back. He asked her not to respond to my calls or texts because he thought I would rush home. I told my husband that if Sal had been saying these things, that it would have been understandable, as she would have been just an angry, disappointed teenager. I told him that this behavior from an adult is disgusting, and I told him he needs to get his head out of his butt and apologize. When he was still insistent that he wasn't in the wrong and that I was, I stopped talking to him. I'm not planning to let this go. If this is the hill I die on, let it be. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. Neither Val or her husband's family live nearby. Flights were impossible to get due to Christmas and New Year. Regarding the seriousness of the injury, it wasn't life-threatening, but he has broken ribs and a fracture in his leg. He wasn't released from the hospital until the 28th, and even then he was advised to take rest. Not the a-hole. Neither is Sal. She was just acting on limited inaccurate information from your husband, who is the a-hole here. Good for you for pressing for an apology. He was in the wrong. Emergencies happen, and you were being a loving stepmom. Not the a-hole. OP, has your husband always lacked empathy for others? Seriously, his actions are awful and very self-centered. Not the a-hole, but wow, your husband is. He's not a great father either if he's manipulating his own daughter and using her against you. Good on you for maintaining your relationship with Val and being there for her. Family is not always blood. Seems like you can repair the relationship with Sal, but I'd rethink the relationship with the husband, or therapy for him and you too at the very least. 11 years ago, my 30 female, older sister, 35 female, Rosanna, and her husband, 35 male, Lee, welcomed their first child, 11 male, my nephew, Jesus, with a full bank account and pure joy. That same year, Rosanna became a stay-at-home mom, and then, the next year, my sister gave birth to their little surprise, Angel, 10 male. That same year, Lee lost his job, and to help out, I would help look after my nephews as he scrambled to find a steady income for his family. Eventually, Lee found a new job, and I stopped offering so much assistance. While I loved my nephews, I wasn't much of a kid person, and anyways, I had a job and finances to take care of myself. 2 years later, though, Rosanna gave birth to another boy, 8 male, who they named Mateo. At that point, their bank account had started to leak a little, and it was clear that they were lightly suffering. I had attempted to help them, though. Due to my own financial issues, I couldn't offer much besides babysitting. 3 years later, they were struggling, and they lost their house. Despite not having much space in my apartment, I allowed my nephew, sister, and brother-in-law to stay there until they could find a new place to live. It had been rather difficult on their family and myself, but I routinely reminded myself that they were family, and that they wouldn't be drowning in money issues for the rest of time. That was why I was shocked to hear that same year, Lee and Rosanna were going to be welcoming Ines, 5, and Rosa, 5, their fraternal twin girls. I would have been more sympathetic if Rosanna's pregnancy was accidental, but it turned out they had been actively trying to conceive. At that point, I had been at my wit's end, and told Rosanna and Lee to move out, as they could no longer live with me. Needless to say, they were very offended. Though, as fate would have it, Lee received a very large promotion that year which allowed them to somewhat comfortably move out of my apartment into a small rented home. It was there that they gave birth to their twins. Recently, though, Rosanna called me and informed me that they had been kicked out of their house because they had failed to pay off several payments. Despite this, though, she told me that her and Lee were trying to conceive, and that her and her family need to move back in with me, because they needed a place to raise their 5 children, and they're hopeful next. Eventually, I gave her a compromise. She could move in with me, but only if she did not try to conceive again. Their finances had been a wreck since a little before Ness and Rose's births, and it was irresponsible to bring another child into their family when they couldn't support the 5 they already had. After a little while, Rose and Lee agreed, and they moved into my apartment. While it was clear that they were heavily struggling, I could tell that they enjoyed my hospitality. Recently, though, Rosanna announced that, after much trying, she was pregnant with their 6th child, who they were planning on naming Pablo. And, well, I can't take this. My apartment couldn't fit 8, and yet I still allowed their family in. And now my sister and brother-in-law are adding a 9th? I'm planning on telling her that she can no longer stay with me, and that there is no way she's ever coming back, or along those lines. I'm worried, though, that forcing them out would make me the a-hole. So, would I be the a-hole? Wow, definitely not the a-hole. They shouldn't be having so much kids if they can't afford to keep them. Also, she broke your agreement. Why would you feel bad? You are not responsible for them or their kids, and shouldn't feel bad at all. I, 20, am a student in college, and have 2 siblings. We'll call them Mark, 23, and Chloe, 20. Mark has graduated college, and Chloe is my twin and is also in college at a different university. Relevant details. Prior to my parents getting divorced, my parents had made a college fund. Upon their divorce, I was a minor, so Dad took control of the college funds for me and my siblings. My dad claims to have donated significantly more than my mom to the college fund before they got divorced, but we were given no access to any of the information about the accounts. My dad has since gotten remarried and has 2 new kids, both under the age of 10. It is also relevant to note that my parents would not be financially burdened by the costs mentioned below. Currently, my dad is a smart guy, and when his parents died, he set aside a portion of his inheritance into funding my and my siblings' educations. My dad decided that he would disperse $5,000 to each of his children, each quarter they are at school, for up to 12 quarters. Mark was given $5,000 each quarter over the course of 12 quarters, totaling $60,000, and Chloe is on a steady track to graduate in 12 quarters, which would also total $60,000. I am also in college, and have the opportunity to graduate early, as I had taken summer quarters and tested out of almost all of my general education classes. It is noteworthy that I paid for my summer quarters in order to get ahead so I could graduate early. Now that graduation is nearing, my dad has decided that the money that I'm saving by not needing to take classes in my senior year could be reinvested into my 2 younger half-siblings' education, instead of helping with my current education costs, which as of now, I simply cannot afford. Both Chloe and Mark agree that the money that I'm saving should be to help pay off some of my loans, and help through my remaining quarters as my college is slightly more expensive than theirs. But every time I bring this topic up to my dad, he gets upset, and I called him a prick. While I understand that his parents' money was to help his kids through college, it seems unfair to me that the effort and money I'm putting into graduating early is resulting in my college fund being given away to my other younger siblings, while I could have slacked off and gotten the full amount. Edit. People have been asking, my total education costs $100,000. I was expected to take loans to cover the rest that the fund did not. Edit 2. Info. I paid for my summer quarters out of pocket by getting a job, and the college fund is in my name. I just do not have access to the details of the account. Edit 3. People seem confused, so I will add more details. In total, after graduation, I will be receiving $45,000, while my siblings will be receiving $60,000. I also will have paid for 2 of my own quarters that were used to get ahead. Edit 4. My final costs when I graduate will be $75,000 for 3 years of college, and would have been $100,000 for all 4 years. Not the a-hole. If you had to take out loans, then you still need the college fund money. This money is not unused. Your father is refusing to spend it on you. Not the a-hole. Your dad is being a prick. Though it's cold comfort right now, none of this will matter in the long run. If you continue to do what you're doing and get a degree in a good field, you will have a great career in a decade and the college money will be relatively insignificant. Well, considering even your siblings agree with you, your dad is an a-hole for doing this, and he is being completely unfair. You shouldn't be punished this way for graduating early, especially when this could help you to finish out your education. You still have student loans to pay off that you took out. That's not fair, and your dad is essentially screwing you over. But now that you know is unreliable, you may have to also do what you have to do on your own to help you pay for the rest of your education. Not the a-hole. My 40 male, wife, 34 female, and I have been separated for almost 2 years. It is long to explain all the details, but during the virus, she realized she wasn't happy about her life as a housewife, and she wanted to do more stuff before being too old. I met her when she was in college, and we've been together for a long time. We're not getting a divorce, and she says everything is going to come back to normal eventually, once she feels she is ready to move on from this new stage of her life. She now lives traveling across Europe, doing different ways of charity work and environmental activism. She has had many small jobs during her travels, mainly as a waitress, but I also still help her a lot. Our marriage is now open sexually and romantically. I haven't been with any other women yet, but I may do it if I find the right one. At first, she was just with random men, but she eventually started having more stable relationships. She has been with her current Greek boyfriend for 6 months. The issue is that she was meant to come home for a few days so she could be at our daughter's 13th birthday. I had already bought her a ticket, but when she decided she wanted her boyfriend to come too, I have no problem with him coming, but I didn't think I should be the one paying for his ticket, especially so late, because it would be more expensive. As soon as I complained, she just said she's not coming anymore because she doesn't think I could be mature enough to handle the situation, and she prefers for me to send our daughter to visit her for a few weeks during summer. I tried to negotiate with her, but she was now fully set in her new idea and didn't care about anything I had to say. Now my daughter is angry at me because she was really looking forward to seeing her mom, and because of me, she will have to wait for months. I don't think it is fair to blame me, and I feel it is cruel that my daughter is now being so cold to me. I also miss my wife, and I am sad she's not coming, but my daughter thinks this is something I did on purpose because I am jealous of her new boyfriend. I don't think that is true, but I do feel guilty because my complaints were the thing that started this whole conflict, and now I have damaged my daughter's enjoyment of her birthday. Am I the a-hole? First, get a lawyer, then a therapist. Your marriage is over, and your wife is a manipulator. Stop waiting for her, and don't let your daughter put this on you. This is all on your wife. How dare she expect you to pay for her boyfriend's plane ticket? I felt sick when I read this. Also, your wife is manipulating your daughter. Tell your daughter that if her mom wanted to be here on her birthday, she would have come alone. That you will not be disrespected in your own home or pay for her boyfriend's plane ticket. It may be harsh, but your wife is damaging your relationship with your daughter. If she cared about your daughter, she wouldn't have left, not the a-hole. Tell your daughter that her mom has a ticket. Her mom has a ticket, and if she chooses to not use it to see daughter on her birthday, then you can't make her use it. Tell your daughter you are sorry if that is what happens. Dude, your marriage is over. You and your daughter have been abandoned and are worthless. Except for the money you are giving, you're living your best life with her boyfriend on a different continent, X, and everything but name. I'm so sorry. Get a lawyer, get a therapist. Not the a-hole, except to yourself. Everyone sucks here, and I also think that you are very, very naive, and that you need to get a divorce ASAP. Of course, you shouldn't be paying for your wife's boyfriend ticket, and the fact that your wife, because to me, she's your ex, and I'll explain why later, chooses not to come to her kid's birthday, shows how much she sucks and how much she's selfish. As for the ex part, that woman is using you to fund her traveling and cheating. Your marriage has been over when your wife decided to act like a college girl and go travel the world without you. The open marriage thing is her idea, and you saying, I will go out with someone when you find the right one, is just you saying, I'm waiting to find a woman to leave my wife. Also, your kid must not be more than 11 or 12 years old, and I'm guessing your ex is the one who told her she's not coming, because you won't pay for the boyfriend to come. That's called parental alienation, and here's why I think you're an a-hole. You're making your ex up to be a great mother who's just going through a phase when she just abandoned her kid to go and have S with random dudes all over the world. What a great example for your kid. Go get a lawyer and seek full custody with visitation for your ex only in your country. My brother is a widower twice over, with kids from both marriages. His first wife died when their children were 8 and 7, and his second wife died over a year ago, and those kids are now late teens to early 20s. My brother remarried within a year the first time. His kids had a hard time with that, and he told them that remarrying was a sign that he loved their mom so much that he wanted to have that again, and that she taught him how. The second time he has declared he will not date or remarry again because he found his soulmate and cannot imagine life with another woman. As you can imagine, his older kids were not happy to hear that. They called him out on what he was saying, and he told them they needed to understand. They told him they knew he was a liar, and that his whole thing about loving their mom so much was BS. His kids from the second marriage were mad that their siblings wanted him to remarry, and weren't happy that their mom was the more important wife. Now his older kids aren't talking to him. The younger kids won't talk to the older ones, and he's acting like he has no idea how his words could be causing this. He confided in me, his younger sister, and I reminded him of a time years ago when our dad talked about our brother, the firstborn in our family, as the kid he enjoyed the most. My brother never got over it, and said nothing Dad could say or explain would change that. Dad died and the two had not reconciled. I told him that he needed to understand that words have consequences, like actions do. And telling everyone that his second wife was so special to him that he does not want to find another because she was his soulmate is going to hurt the kids from his first marriage, since he moved on into a second marriage so fast after her, and even told his kids no slowing down and to see it as him loving their mom. He told me it shouldn't bother them as adults. I told him they love their mom and want to believe she wasn't less important to his second wife. He told me I was making it seem like being honest about his marriage to his wife was the same as our dad choosing a favorite kid, and how I'm an a-hole for that. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You laid out the truth after he confided in you. He can't handle said truth. He seemingly can't handle being in the wrong, so he shifts the blame to you and his kids. What a self-absorbed jerk. Wow, he really thinks he's the main character and the only one with problems. He seems to think he can do no wrong, and if he does, everyone else is just overreacting. What a tool. Not the a-hole, obviously. It was high time someone took him off his high horse. Not the a-hole, but brother is a big one. How is he not seeing that his words hurt his children? There's a difference about being honest with emotions and being inconsiderate. He easily could have avoided this situation by talking to their children that both moms were great and he loved them. Well, not equal because that's stupid. So much. But after the second loss, it was twice the pain. So he just wants to be alone for now.